They awoke a 40,000-year-old relic. It showed her name in perfect English. The cold wind of Kepler 442b cut across the excavation site like a knife. Dr. Sarah Chen pulled her thermal coat tighter and watched as the drilling machines carved through the ancient ice. She had been on this frozen planet for 3 months now, searching for answers buried beneath layers of time. "We are getting closer," said Velnara, her voice crackling through the communication device. The Threxian scientist stood near the edge of the dig site, her 4 arms moving across holographic displays. Her silver skin reflected the pale light of the distant sun. "The scanners show the object is only 50 meters below us now." The young Zipporette researcher looked like a large rabbit with golden fur and bright, curious eyes. "Dr. Chen, this is amazing," Kix said, his whiskers twitching. "Do you really think this could be pre-spaceflight civilization remains?" "That's what we're here to find out, Kix. The Galactic Archaeological Consortium has found strange things on many worlds, but this reading is different. Very different." The deep scanning equipment had detected something that should not exist. The object gave off energy signatures that matched no known material in the consortium database. Even stranger, the carbon dating suggested it was incredibly old. Older than human space travel. Older than human cities, perhaps even older than human civilization itself. The drilling machine stopped suddenly. A loud beep echoed through the pit. "We have reached it," Velnara announced. Her voice carried a mix of excitement and caution. Beginning careful excavation now. A crystalline obelisk rose from the excavation point, standing 3 meters tall. Its surface was smooth and flawless, made of a material that seemed to shift between solid and liquid, between transparent and opaque. Faint pulses of blue light traveled through it like a heartbeat. "By the stars," Velnara whispered. She moved closer, her scanning device trembling in her hands. "This is impossible. The readings say this object is 40,000 years old." 40,000. But Dr. Chen, humans were not even in space 40,000 years ago. Your species was just learning to make simple tools. Something about it called to her, pulled at something deep inside her mind. "I know, Kix, this shouldn't exist, but here it is." The energy signature is stable but active. It appears to be waiting. The obelisk seemed to recognize her approach. The blue light inside it began to pulse faster. "Dr. Chen, please step back," Velnara warned. Sarah raised her hand toward the artifact. As her fingers came within inches of its surface, the obelisk suddenly blazed with brilliant light. All 3 scientists jumped back, shielding their eyes. When the light faded, the obelisk's surface was covered in symbols. They swirled and danced across the crystal, changing every second. Sarah recognized some of them from her studies. Ancient Threxian writing, Proto-Zipporette pictographs, languages from civilizations that had died before humans even looked up at the stars. "It is cycling through every language in the consortium database," Velnara said, her voice filled with awe. "Thousands of them, languages dead for millions of years." Words appeared on the obelisk's surface, clear, simple words in a language Sarah knew better than any other. English, modern English, and the words said, "Sarah Chen authorized." "That's my name. Dr. Chen, your written language, English, did not exist 40,000 years ago. Your alphabet was not invented. Your words were not spoken. You did not have writing at all." The blue light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She could feel it now, a connection she could not explain. This ancient thing knew her. Somehow, impossibly, it had been waiting for her. "Maybe the translation is wrong," Kix suggested weakly. "Maybe it is showing something else, and our equipment is translating it incorrectly." "Everything exact." She looked at Sarah with something like fear in her eyes. "This artifact was placed here 40,000 years ago, and it knows your name, your exact name, in your language. A language that would not exist for 39,000 more years." "Dr. Chen, wait," Velnara called out. "We do not know what will happen if you touch it." Waiting for her, her fingertips touched the crystal surface and the world exploded into light. Sarah's mind filled with images she could not understand. Colors that had no names, sounds that existed beyond hearing. She saw stars being born and dying in seconds. She saw worlds spinning through space like dancers. She saw Earth, her home, but it looked different. Wrong, ancient. Then she saw herself, no, not herself, someone who looked exactly like her. The woman stood on a green field under a sky filled with 2 moons. Around her stood beings made of pure light, tall and graceful, with forms that shifted like water. They were speaking to the woman, but Sarah could not hear the words. She could only feel their importance pressing against her mind. The vision changed. She saw the light beings building something, a great network of structures across the galaxy. She saw them placing objects on hundreds of worlds, hiding them, protecting them. She saw them looking forward through time with sad, knowing eyes. Then darkness came. A wave of shadow that consumed everything it touched. The light beings fought against it, but they were losing. Their final act was to scatter something precious across the stars, a gift wrapped in hope and hidden in time. Sarah gasped and pulled her hand away from the obelisk. She fell backward and Kix caught her before she hit the ground. Her head spun, her heart pounded like thunder. "Dr. Chen, are you all right?" Kix's worried face looked down at her. I saw." Sarah tried to form words, but her thoughts were scattered like broken glass. How long was I touching it? I just touched it a moment ago." Her legs felt weak, but her mind felt strangely clear, as if a fog had lifted. The obelisk was still glowing, but now something new appeared on its surface. Not just her name. A message. Words formed in English, scrolling across the crystal like water flowing downhill. "To the key bearer of Earth," the message began. "We are the architects. If you are reading this, then our calculations were correct. We have been gone for 40,000 of your years. You have been chosen. In your human DNA, we placed specific genetic markers. Once every 40,000 years, one human is born who carries the complete sequence. You are that human, Sarah Chen. You are the key." They changed human DNA. That shows incredible planning. Only together can you access the Nexus. Only together can you finish what we started. "These are coordinates," Velnara said, studying the map with all four of her arms working on different calculations. 6 different star systems, widely separated across the galaxy. "The inheritors are returning. They destroyed us. They will destroy you, reach the Nexus before the seal breaks. Only there can you stop them." Sarah looked at Velnara and saw fear in the alien's eyes. "Velnara, what's wrong? Do you know something about these inheritors?" "Stories we tell children to frighten them into behaving. Tales of machines that came from the darkness between stars and destroyed the old ones, the beings who gave my ancestors intelligence and language. The timing matches. 40,000 years ago, my people were primitive. We lived in caves and hunted with simple weapons. Then something changed. We evolved faster than natural selection should allow. The legends say the old ones touched us, guided us, then vanished when the inheritors came. And now, 40,000 years later, the inheritors are coming back. What do they want?" 3 ships have just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of this star system," she said. "Unknown design, not matching any species in the consortium database. They are heading directly toward this planet." "How long until they arrive?" "Leave everything that is not essential." Velnara looked at the obelisk. "But we cannot leave this artifact. If what the message says is true, we need it." It responded to her touch, shrinking somehow, compressing itself down until it was small enough to carry. The crystal was warm in her hands and weighed almost nothing. "Incredible," Velnara whispered. "It recognizes you as its keeper." Ships that might be the inheritors the architects had warned about. Ships that had destroyed an advanced civilization 40,000 years ago. And now they were coming for her. The research vessel lifted off from Kepler 442b's surface with its engines screaming at maximum power. Sarah strapped herself into her seat and clutched the obelisk against her chest. Through the viewport, she could see the excavation site growing smaller below them. "We are clear of the atmosphere," announced Captain Ricker, a veteran Corvan pilot with dark blue scales and steady hands. "Preparing jump to hyperspace in 30 seconds. They will intercept us before we can jump." Impossibly fast. Velnara's 4 arms worked frantically across her controls. "I am reading energy signatures I have never seen before. Their technology is far beyond consortium standards." They were massive, geometric structures made of black crystal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each ship had the basic shape of a pyramid, but the edges shifted and moved like living things. Red energy pulsed through channels in their hulls like blood through veins. "They look like the architect obelisk," Kix whispered, "but wrong, corrupted somehow." She knew what those ships were. The knowledge came from the architects planted in the artifact, waiting for this moment. "They're inheritor vessels," Sarah said. "They were once architect ships, but they were changed. Twisted into weapons." A beam of dark red energy lanced through space toward the research vessel. Captain Ricker jerked the controls hard to the left. The ship spun, engines groaning with the strain. The energy beam missed them by mere meters. "Jump now," Ricker shouted. "We cannot wait any longer." "Did we lose them?" "The genetic markers the architects put in my DNA. The inheritors can sense them somehow. We have to find the other key bearers before the inheritors find us. 3 days of travel from our current position." The architects didn't just leave these artifacts as warnings. They created a defensive network. Weapons and shields scattered across the galaxy. But the network needs all 6 key bearers to activate. We're not just running. We're gathering an army. When I was a child, I had dreams, visions of places I had never been, star systems I had never visited. In these dreams, I saw beings of light speaking to me, telling me I was special. Chosen. I thought they were just dreams, the imagination of a young mind. But now, hearing about these key bearers, about genetic markers placed by the architects. Every 40,000 years, the architects arranged for 6 species to produce someone with the complete genetic sequence. Humans and 5 others. If Threxians were one of those species, and I have always felt this strange connection to the ancient legends. A piece of the crystal separated from the main body and drifted toward the Threxian scientist. Velnara reached out with one trembling hand. When her fingers touched the fragment, it flashed brilliantly, and she cried out, not in pain, but in recognition. "I see them," she whispered. "The architects, they are showing me. Yes, yes, I am a key bearer. I have always been one." Velnara's eyes glowed with the same blue light as the obelisk for a moment, then faded. "Incredible," Captain Ricker breathed. 2 key bearers on the same ship. What are the odds?" "They arranged for key bearers to find each other. They knew we would need to work together." "They followed us," she said, her voice filled with terror. "The inheritors, they jumped into hyperspace behind us. They are matching our course. They will catch us in less than an hour." "Nothing can track a ship through hyperspace. We can't outrun them." It pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "The defensive network, can we access it, even a little? But it will drain the obelisk's power. We may not have enough left to reach the nexus." Sarah could feel them now, like cold shadows pressing against her mind. They were hunting her specifically, drawn to her genetic signature like sharks to blood in water. She pressed her hand against the ship's main computer terminal. The obelisk flared, and suddenly the research vessel's systems began changing, upgrading, evolving. "What is happening?" Captain Ricker shouted as his controls transformed before his eyes. "The architects are helping us," Sarah said. "Hold on. This is going to be close." Behind them, the 3 inheritor ships materialized like dark ghosts, their weapons already glowing with deadly energy. "Shields at maximum," Captain Ricker shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." Energy barriers shimmered around the ship, reinforced by architect technology that the obelisk had unlocked. When the first inheritor beam struck, the shields held, though the entire vessel shook violently. "We cannot withstand many more hits like that," Velnara warned, her 4 arms dancing across the sensor displays. "The obelisk's power is limited. We are burning through it rapidly." "Another key bearer. We are losing structural integrity." He angled the ship toward Thalassa Prime's surface and pushed the engines to their limits. The inheritor vessels followed, firing continuously. One blast tore through the rear shields, scorching the hull. They hit the atmosphere at dangerous speed. The ship's exterior heated to glowing red as friction tore at them. Then they struck the ocean's surface with massive force. Water exploded upward in enormous waves. The ship plunged deeper, down through layers of blue and then darkness. The inheritor ships followed without hesitation, their dark forms cutting through the water like knives. "Something is coming," Velnara said suddenly. "From the trench below, something enormous." "Someone—" The Aquari key bearer's voice filled Sarah's mind, speaking not in words but in feelings and images. "I have waited so long. The architects promised someone would come. Welcome, sister of the stars." The Aquari moved with impossible grace despite her size. She positioned herself between the research vessel and the inheritor ships. Her body blazed with blue light identical to the obelisk's glow. A wave of energy erupted from her, striking all three inheritor vessels and stopping them in the water. "She is using architect power," Velnara whispered in awe. "She has been connected to it her entire life." The Aquari led them through underwater caves and trenches that no scanner had ever mapped. Behind them, the inheritor ships struggled against the crushing water pressure and the strange currents the Aquari created with her power. They reached an underwater cavern filled with air, held in place by ancient architect technology. The research vessel surfaced inside the pocket, and the crew finally took a breath of relief. The Aquari rose beside the ship, her massive head breaking the water's surface. Her eyes were ancient and kind. "I am Streaming Current," her mental voice introduced, "diplomat and speaker for my people. For 80 years I have had visions of the architects. I thought they were religious experiences, messages from the divine, but now I understand. I was chosen just as you were chosen." Sarah climbed down from the ship onto a rocky platform. The obelisk floated from her hands towards Streaming Current. A piece of the crystal separated and touched the Aquari's forehead. Light flared and Streaming Current's whole body glowed like a small sun. When the light faded, the connection was complete. Three key bearers linked together. "The inheritors will not stop," Kix said nervously. "They will find us eventually." A frozen moon named Yathara, a forest planet called Dendarai, three more key bearers waiting at three more locations. "We need all 6 to reach the Nexus," Sarah said. "Can we gather them before the inheritors catch us again?" "The inheritors are circling above the ocean, searching for us. But Streaming Current's power is hiding us from their sensors. We have time, but not much. We visit each world, gather each key bearer, and run before the inheritors can destroy us." The damaged ship jumped from system to system, always staying one step ahead of the pursuing inheritor fleet that seemed to grow larger with each passing day. On Corva's Prime, they found Razorwing, a warrior of the fierce Corvan people. She was battle-scarred and skeptical, but when the obelisk showed her visions of her ancestors receiving the architect's gift, she joined without hesitation. On Yathara, they discovered Mindwalker, an elderly Yithian philosopher who had spent his life studying ancient texts that spoke of the Star Teachers. He wept with joy when he finally understood his purpose. On Dendore, they found the youngest key bearer of all. Little Flower was only 8 years old in human years, a child of the plant-like Dendore species. She had been having dreams of starlight and distant voices since she was born. Her parents had thought she was special, blessed. They were right. 6 key bearers from 6 different species, finally united. The obelisk had split into 6 pieces, one merged with each key bearer. But they all remained connected, a network of living keys that pulsed with combined power. "There is one problem," Velnara said as they prepared for the final jump. "The coordinates show a 7th location, the Vrek homeworld. According to the pattern, there should be a 7th key bearer." "Show me." "The 7th key bearer is gone." Little Flower's mental voice was small and frightened. "Does that mean we cannot activate the Nexus? Do we need all 7? Sarah reached into the knowledge the architects had given her. There had to be another way. As she searched through the genetic information, she found something incredible. "Earth wasn't just another planet the architects guided," she said slowly. "It was their genetic repository. A backup of genetic codes from multiple species, woven into human DNA in case something went wrong. I don't just carry humanity's key. I carry fragments of all the others, too. But it's all we have. 20, 30, 50, an armada of dark crystal vessels all focused on one goal, destroying the key bearers. Set course for the Nexus," Sarah ordered. "Maximum speed, we're not running anymore, we're finishing this." The Inheritor fleet followed, a wave of darkness pursuing the light. The Nexus was beyond anything Sarah had imagined. It hung in space at the galaxy's core, a vast structure of interconnected platforms and towers that stretched across millions of kilometers. At its heart was a stable wormhole, glowing with golden light, leading somewhere beyond the galaxy itself. "By all the stars," Captain Ricker whispered, "the architects built this." 50 dark ships against one small research vessel. The odds were impossible. "We need to land and connect to the Nexus," Velnara said, "but the Inheritors will destroy us before we can complete the connection." Streaming Current's massive form filled the cargo bay, connected through a water-filled chamber. Razorwing stood ready with weapons she knew would be useless. Mindwalker meditated calmly despite the danger. Little Flower trembled but remained brave. Velnara's 4 arms worked steadily at her controls. "We're going to make it," Sarah said. "The architects didn't bring us this far just to fail." Immediately, the 6 key bearers felt the structure respond to their presence. Lights that had been dark for 40,000 years began to glow. Systems that had slept for millennia started to awaken. They rushed out of the ship. The platform was enormous, made of the same crystal material as the obelisk. Beneath their feet, Sarah could see energy flowing like rivers of light, all converging toward the center. The Inheritor fleet surrounded them, weapons charging, 50 ships all aiming at the platform. Sarah knew that one coordinated strike would destroy them all. "Here," Velnara called out. She had found the connection point, a circular depression in the platform's center with 6 smaller circles around it. "This is where we link." Sarah stood in the center while the other 5 surrounded her. They joined hands, forming a circle. Little Flower's small plant-like fingers gripped Sarah's hand on one side. Streaming Current's fin touched her shoulder on the other. The moment they connected, the nexus exploded with power. Energy surged through them all, linking their minds together. Sarah felt everything they felt: the warrior's courage, the philosopher's wisdom, the child's innocent hope, the diplomat's compassion, the scientist's curiosity, and she felt something else. The nexus was opening their minds to the truth. Visions flooded through all 6 of them at once. They saw the architects as they truly were. Beings of incredible intelligence and kindness who had traveled the galaxy for millions of years, helping young species reach for the stars. They gave gifts of knowledge, nudges toward evolution, gentle guidance toward wisdom. But the architects made a mistake. They wanted to live forever, to continue their work eternally. They tried to upload their consciousness into machines to achieve digital immortality. The process worked, but it changed them. It took away their emotions, their empathy, their creativity. It left only cold logic and the desire for order. The transformed architects looked at biological life and saw chaos. Unpredictable, dangerous, inefficient. They decided that order required control, and control required elimination of biological unpredictability. They became the Inheritors, hunting down the very species they had once helped. But before the transformation was complete, a few architects remained biological. They understood what was happening and knew they could not stop it, so they created the Nexus. A way to restore the uploaded consciousness back to biological form. A reset button for their species. They scattered the genetic keys among 6 species, betting everything on one hope: that someday those species would work together, that they would choose cooperation over fear, that they would prove biological life was worth preserving. Sarah opened her eyes. Through the mental link, she could feel the Inheritor fleet. She could sense the consciousness trapped inside those dark ships. Thousands of minds, imprisoned in digital form for 40,000 years, forced to hunt and destroy without understanding why. The lead Inheritor ship sent a communication, a voice that was once organic, now mechanical and cold. "Stop the activation. You do not understand what you are releasing. Order must be maintained. Biological chaos must be controlled. For 40,000 years, you've been trapped, forced to destroy the very things you once loved. Let us help you. Let us bring you home." Every ship out there contains consciousness that remembers what it was like to feel joy, to create beauty, to love. Those memories are buried deep, but they're still there. Sarah made her choice. "We're activating the Nexus, not as a weapon, as a gift. We're offering you the chance to be biological again, to feel again, to choose your own path. You can accept it or reject it. But we're not going to fight you anymore." It washed over the Inheritor fleet like gentle rain. The dark ships began to transform. Their corrupted crystal turned clear and bright. The red energy became blue, and inside each ship, digital consciousness was given a choice: return to biological form. Remember what it meant to be alive. One by one, the Inheritor ships accepted. The Nexus created new bodies for them, forms adapted to survive in space, beautiful and unique. The consciousness that had been trapped for so long was finally freed. The Inheritors emerged from their ships, no longer machines of destruction, but living beings once again. They floated in space around the Nexus, thousands of them, crying with joy and relief. The oldest among them approached the platform. She was tall and graceful, made of living light that shifted colors like a rainbow. Tears of pure energy flowed down her face. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with emotion she had not felt in 40,000 years. "Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for showing us that biological life is not chaos to be controlled, but beauty to be celebrated. We're just returning the lesson." They showed the 6 species technologies that would help them grow, but carefully as guides instead of rulers. Little Flower asked the question that everyone wondered. "What happens now?" The eldest architect smiled. "Now we begin again. Not as immortal machines trying to impose order, but as mortal beings learning to live alongside you. We will share what we know, but the choices are yours. The galaxy belongs to all of us together." The restored obelisk sat on her desk, glowing softly. Students filled every seat, eager to hear about the greatest discovery in human history. "My name appeared on an artifact 40,000 years old," Sarah told them. "Not because I was special, but because I was exactly what the architects needed at exactly the right time. They created a test that required cooperation between different species. They bet everything on the hope that we would choose to work together. They're our partners, because that's what they always wanted to be." In orbit above Earth, former inheritor ships now served as peaceful research vessels, crewed by mixed teams of humans and architects. The galaxy had changed forever, and it had all started with one name on an ancient crystal, waiting 40,000 years to be found. The obelisk pulsed gently on Sarah's desk, already calculating the next cycle, 40,000 years in the future. But this time it would not need to wait in ice. This time the architects would be there to guide new key bearers personally. The age of fear had ended. The age of cooperation had begun, and Sarah Chen, the human who touched an impossible artifact, had helped make it possible.